everyone. Hopefully things are going well for you so far. Today, I wanted to come today to talk about two different things. They're kind of in the title. And what we're going to do, hopefully, will help you, help me, help all of us get through the time that's in front of us with a slightly different perspective. So for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Jay. By all means, please go ahead and type in the chat news. So when we get to the time to where we are interacting with one another, I can welcome you, say hello and greet you, etc. Because I want to make sure that, you feel welcomed as well. For those of you who are joining us for the first time or 101st time, or how many ever times you've been here, make sure you're getting over to Facebook. If you're on Facebook, actually, get over to CashFlowDiary.live on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/CashFlowDiary live. And then we also are on YouTube at youtube.com/CashFlowDiary. For those of you who are already at the YouTube destination, thank you very much. Glad that you are there because that is the place where we are going to be most frequently. So just keep that in mind as we continue down all of the journeys together, etc., etc., etc. All right. Now, with that said, what I wanted to share with you guys today is all around the concept, the idea of, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called the 5-hour rule, the 5-hour rule. Very basically, what it means is that an hour a day invested in you, i.e. gaining a new skill, or said another way, making something, practicing something in such a way that you become better at it. Reading, for example, could be one of those things as a way for us to gain a new skill, or at least have our world open in such a way. So the goal with the 5-hour rule is to make sure that we do that every weekday, if that makes sense. So you 1 hour a day, every weekday. And starting with something as basic as reading gives a lot of us an opportunity to do something great. Now, here's the thing that happens. Here's the thing that I know for me is a challenge with these types of things, is the idea of, well, I would do less in that particular day, which is, again, very, very true. In that particular day, less would get accomplished, right? So if you took an hour of each and every weekday, during that weekday, that's an hour of productive time. That's an hour of something that would have to be sacrificed in exchange for this hour of investment, if you will. Now, with that being said, in theory, the concept of sacrifice is giving up something of value for something that you perceive to be of greater value. So that shouldn't be a problem, except being consistent with it and our need to see some sort of result from the things that we do also makes a huge difference as well. So here's my point very, very simply. Over time is how the gains begin. They compound over time. So with a commitment to the 5-hour rule, again, over time. So that means not a week or a weekend or 1 month, but some cases years, quarters, years, decades, etc. is over time is how we see the improvement or the ultimate result of all of the things that we have done. I mean, there are a large number, in fact, of examples inside of our world today, from, Ben Franklin, who with his 13 different virtues, again, you can practice that. Again, what you practice isn't as important as that you practice something, all right? So that's really important to understand. We've got individuals like Warren Buffett, if you will, who has been stated as reading for 5 hours a day, 5 different newspapers. It's a lot of reading, but that's what he does. And then we've got, Mark Zuckerberg, a new book every other week. Again, you may not agree with the individuals on many other planes and facets, but all of them, we can't necessarily deny that there's a connection with reading and their results, regardless of who they are, right? We have a billionaire here, Arthur Blank, I believe, and it's a standard question just in Forbes, like how many hours a day, where did it go? How many hours a day do you read? In this case, 2. And then another one is Danny Gilbert. I believe his was 122. So 122. And it leads ourselves to focus on something that we can do. Like, how does this help me today? How does this help you and I with everything that we are currently facing and or dealing with at this particular moment? Well, I think it does in a number of ways, because there's a concept out there called deliberate practice. I'll say it again. It's called deliberate practice. And with the concept or concepts like deliberate practice, it is not practicing because you're preparing, say, for a game, or because you're planning a competition, or because you are putting yourself in a situation in which you're going to then therefore display what it is that you've been practicing. That it's not that type of practice. It is a practice, and it is a method of learning, if you will, that is specifically all around getting good at something, one piece of a larger something. For example, let's pretend that one of the things that you've been doing since we've been talking is all about the sales calls and whatnot, because you've been wanting to build your business. And one of the things that you want to do is you want to get better at sales calls. So one of the things that's clear is that to get better at it, you should make sales calls, right? So you could easily say, yeah, you know what, I made 5 more sales calls, 10 more sales calls, 15 more sales calls this particular hour, and then I'll do it again, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. Great. That is one way. What I'm suggesting, or what is suggested by the concept, is not just making calls for the sake of making calls, but making calls for getting better, marking improvement at a specific part of the call. So for example, when you have a call, any type of phone call for that matter, there are many stages to the call. It could just be the greeting part, the beginning part, right? The learning to practice your ability to bond and rapport with individuals from the beginning can make a difference in terms of the results that you are seeing or receive when it comes to actually doing sales calls. That could be it in and of itself. Is the thing you're practicing is just opening the phone call. It doesn't have to require many different stages. It could be any parts of the stages as time goes forward. So now you're making those 10 calls, 15 calls, and the only thing you're really focused on is your ability to open the call, make the person relax, and get to a point to where the conversation is actually flowing. And that is therefore considered the thing. That is what made that particular bit of practice successful. See, using concepts like deliberate practice, that's honestly, that is actually how I learned to do sales calls, and disciplined myself to just not worry about the result, but get ready or get better at each individual stage. Now, there was this, so here's a quick story that again, if you want to accept this concept of deliberate practice and constant and ever improvement and ways to keep learning and getting better at skills, one of the things that I did that you could do that would easily be done is simply putting yourself in a situation in which you don't care about the results. For example, right now, let's pretend that your business model happens to be around short-term rentals. Now, you guys know, you figured that was coming somehow, some way today, because that's part of what I do. But let's pretend you're just now getting into the business and you're a little bit nervous to call a landlord. Totally understood. Well, the only way to get over that is to really call a landlord. You're never going to read your way to comfort. You're not going to watch enough videos to make you go, okay, I got it. You must take action in that direction. However, one of the things you can do to help yourself, because again, as a human, we have expectations of our results. We have expectations, we have desires that we want to see fulfilled. We want things to come alive, if you will. So why not make phone calls to landlords that are so far away from you that you would literally have you have no way of actually following through on a yes. Here's the reason why you would do this. Simply to practice. See, when we're preoccupied with the result, the outcome, we can get a little squirrely on like, what on earth am I doing? What am I saying? Why? How does this work? So a very simple technique, a very simple way to put in deliberate practice is to make a phone call in such a way to where the outcome just flat doesn't matter. The outcome doesn't matter whatsoever. And because the outcome doesn't matter, you're going to be more relaxed, which likely will allow you to relax the other person on the other side. It's a unique strategy. It's one that I have used. I was told when I was first learning it, one of the things to do, for those of you that can remember, like how many of you actually remember white pages, right? Do you remember the actual phone, not the yellow pages, the white pages? I know that in many parts of the country, you may not even know what those are. That's fine. But there was a big book, a printed book, that used to be circulated with everybody's phone number. Anyway, that I did this by starting at the letter A and making phone calls. Because see, I had no emotional attachment to any of those individuals. I didn't know who they were. It didn't really matter what happened because I was practicing. And from that practice, then we were able to get a little bit better. And that's exactly what you're aiming for. You're aiming for the ability to improve in something. So with that said, here's a question that I submit for your acceptance, enjoyment, however you want to look at it. Something that will help you, help me, help all of us get to the other side. Because you and I and children and everybody else, we can endure just about anything. Just about. We can endure just about anything if one of two conditions are true. If one of two conditions are true, we can endure just about anything. And I would say that, right now could feel like a time of perseverance and endurance for a number of individuals. So what does that mean? Quite simply, it means that if we either A, know ahead of time, like if we know ahead of time how long something is going to last, it makes it easier for us to endure it, to suffer through it, to develop perseverance, and to be willing and to submit and to keep trying, if that makes sense. When we know up front how long it's going to last. So, for example, as a student, you know your class is 45 minutes. Even the classes you don't like, the ones you like are 45 minutes, and the ones you don't like are also 45 minutes. And because either one is 45 minutes, guess what? You're like, okay, cool. There are times where you feel like, man, that 45 minutes went by way too fast. And then there are other times where that 45 minutes just wasn't fast enough, But because you know how long it's going to last, you can do it. And then the other situation is when we have something of really great, intense, immense value on the other end. Something that we can focus on that keeps us excited, motivated, desiring, yes, to see the end, to have the end be here, but it's worth all of the stuff in the middle. It's worth the struggle. It's worth the pain. It's worth the delay. And that can be all kinds of things. I mean, it's been all kinds of things out throughout human history. For example, if you're currently married, you might remember a time where it was worth the delay. It was worth the wait to find, your significant other, your spouse, etc. If you're a kid, you can remember some Christmas, you were thinking about the presents under the tree, and it was worth the wait. It was worth the delay. I'm not saying every one of them, but you get my point. Or maybe it was your birthday party, or maybe it was and I know this was true, coming from a military family, when we knew that they were coming back from, the war or skirmish or excursion or TDY, whatever it is that they were doing, okay? When they were coming back off the plane and could finally, we could see them again, right? Know where they are, all that type of stuff. Worth the wait. It was worth the wait. Because when you knew that those things were happening, because the thing was built up, it was so large, it was exactly something you equated to worth the wait. There was pride through the suffering and struggle, etc. Because it was worth it. You made it worth it, no one else. So here's a question that I submit. Here's an idea. On the other side, before we get to the new normal, okay, because we're all in this transition period, when we get to the new normal, here's the question that I would ask you. Once you are there, once you are at your new normal, the new normal, what would have had to transpire between now and then in order for you to feel like everything that you have experienced and will experience through this time would make it worth it? Let me say it another way. One of the things that I do when we're working with a brand new, entrepreneur who's trying to get into real estate and whatnot, we will ask them, hey, well, when 12 months from today, what would it take? What would have to happen between now and then for you to consider the last 12 months to be a phenomenal success? Something completely outrageous that you'd be like, wow, that was worth it. And what I'm saying is, let's apply that same technique here. The exact same, right? All the way starting from what we talked about at the beginning of this particular stream is, hey, let's read. Let's have dedicated practice. Let's use the 5-hour rule, because that 5-hour rule is what's going to take to gain a skill. And we can start with just reading books. We don't know what skill. Cool. Read something. Hour a day, 5 days a week, during the weekday. Then from there, we take that into deliberate practice. And we start to practice that whatever skill is necessary, whatever skill is currently missing from the thing that we then see 12 months hence, that would be great. The fun part is that you and we all get to decide what that looks like. I don't know what it looks like, and what it looks like for you is going to be different from me, and there is no wrong answer. And that's the magic of it. Because see, you get to create the own joy set before you so that you can endure the time that it's going to take to get there. That time is going to expire one way or another, and I think we could get through it better if we just focused on something that we actually want, something that we would like to see happen, as opposed to wondering what is going to happen and wondering how long is it going to be. Again, you and we're as humans, we can endure just about anything so long as we know how long it's going to take, or if something really, really great's on the other side. Here's my hope. My hope is that today, you taking the time to watch this video was worth it. In fact, do us a favor. Right now, go ahead and type something in the chat or in the comments. For those of you watching the replay, do the same. Type something in the comments. One thing that you learned from this video, or one thing that you're going to begin deliberately practicing so that you can get better at it. Not focused on the outcome, but improving the skill. Because through that process, and only through that process, do you and I have a shot at seeing that ultimate thing that we're talking about at the end of the 12 months. I mean, it could be something as simple as, when this is over, the only thing that would be I would consider this a great success if all I did was, I don't know, let me make it simple. So simple. Something that we can all do. If all I did was make sure I read a book a month, that would be great. That would make this time worth it. Now, maybe that's not big enough for you. Maybe it needs to be more. Maybe it would need to be, if all I did was reestablished my relationship with my child, my father, the stepfather person or whatever. Or maybe it's, I did develop a brand new business. Whatever it is, long as it's worth it to you, then it's worth the sacrifice, if you will. And I think it could transform your experience of today, your experience of tomorrow, and all the days in between. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I definitely like the time that you guys decide to hang out here. I appreciate it a ton. And as you guys know, we have been after making sure that we go live every day, 8 o'clock for the month of April. And it's been a challenge. We have learned a lot. We have definitely learned a lot. And it's also been fun. Nonetheless, here's what I want to say to you guys is that I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with us today. And hopefully you've learned something. And I'm really, really hoping that we've been helpful. It's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.